Conversations about risk during the pandemic don't often make sense. We talk about everything like it's all or nothing, when we should be talking about trade-offs instead. That's the topic of this week's Healthcare Triage. This video is supported in part by viewers like you. You too can support the show at patreon.com/healthcaretriage. As I recently wrote in the New York Times, my daughter isn't happy about not being able to spend time over at friends' houses or them at ours. According to her, she sees them at school, so what difference does it make if she sees them outside of school? As I pointed out, she and most Americans are thinking about risk the wrong way. We can't neatly sort every activity into a safe or unsafe category. There are degrees of risk, and we can take actions to reduce the risk for many activities. This was so true for Halloween, a holiday that I argued could be enjoyed, mostly, to the fullest this year with a little effort on our part. Sure, full-blown haunted houses and bobbing for apples were out, but trick-or-treating was fully on the table. It's outside. It was on a Saturday this year, so we had plenty of time to space things out. It's pretty easy to provide candy in a socially distanced manner. Masks are an easy sell on this of all days, and the candy is pre-packaged so it can easily be disinfected before opening. However, the CDC issued a list of low, moderate, and high-risk activities for Halloween celebrations, listing traditional trick-or-treating as high risk and modified trick-or-treating as moderate risk. Clearly, I disagree, and I hope kids, after all they've given up this year, were still able to have some Halloween fun. For those activities that carry a fair amount of risk, no matter how you slice it, we can manage risk exposure by engaging in some activities in lieu of others. For example, school's an important activity for my daughter for many reasons. Yes, it comes with risks, but we can balance that risk by foregoing others, like hanging out together with friends in a basement after school. We should view our choices in an additive rather than an all-or-nothing manner. Imagine you've got a pile of safety and a pile of risk. When you do things like wear a mask, stay 6 feet away from people in public spaces, and forego large group activities, you're throwing a little more in the safety pile. When you choose to attend a gym class, play on a sports team, or engage in some other group activity, you throw a little on the risk pile. The trick is keeping your safety pile bigger and your risk pile smaller. To do this, you have to be willing to trade for the higher risk activities you really want to engage in. If that Saturday morning gym class feels critical to your mental health, examine what you might give up in order to balance that with less risk exposure elsewhere. Maybe your trade-off is choosing delivery over dine-in when you're craving something from your favorite restaurant. Maybe you love massages, but you're willing to give them up for now. From a policy perspective, we've been just as bad. Almost everyone thinks that opening schools is extremely important, including me, but no one discusses what we might be willing to close to make that happen. If we want to make it safer for kids to attend school, we might need to consider lowering the number of people who can drink in bars or eat in restaurants, for example. If Americans were willing to invest in bigger picture solutions, we could all have nicer things. A massive testing program would cost money and require a lot of people to run it, but it could make many activities much safer. Giving people the resources they need to stay home instead of going to work in person would significantly reduce close contacts. Ubiquitous and affordable high-speed internet would make online education easier and lots of other things easier too. We can't all live in bubbles in Disney World like the NBA, but we could make use of their testing methods. We could emulate their plans to hunker down and limit exposures. We could acknowledge that they were willing to make personal sacrifices to have a season. I'm sure millions of dollars made it easier, but lots of us would be happy with more modest, less tangible rewards. Even if there's lots of disagreement in society at large about what to prioritize, the choices we make as individuals make a big difference too. And if enough of us make those kinds of choices, we'll all move closer to getting things more under control. And instead of asking why we can't do certain activities, we might consider what we're willing to give up to do them even more safely. Even better, we might even consider what we're willing to give up so others can do them too. Hey, did you enjoy this episode? You might enjoy this other episode on Brady-Kynan storms. We'd appreciate it if you'd like the video and subscribe to the show down there, and head on over to patreon.com/healthcaretriage where you can help support the show even through a pandemic. We'd especially like to thank our research associates James Glasgow, Joe Sevitz, Josh Gister, and Michael Chin, and of course, our Surgeon Admiral Sam.